So I know this guy who's in a band, and a few weeks ago they went to record an EP. They're all very talented musicians and they make music because that's just the thing they love doing. However, their dream is to really make it, being able to actually make a living off doing the thing they love. So they spent a lot of time and money recording their music and it ended up sounding pretty amazing. So I asked this guy what they were going to do with the music, how they were going to distribute it, and if they had any plans or strategies for getting the word out on the street. He then said to me, and I quote, "Oh, I don't know, we'll probably just put it on YouTube and then people will eventually find it." Oh boy. This is why your band fails, and welcome to the first episode of what I can only assume will be a very long series. Obviously, just putting your music on YouTube, Spotify or SoundCloud isn't going to get you anywhere, but it is a start, and making your music available to the public is kind of necessary. I know a band that decided to spend a lot of money on recording an entire album, and they fucking crashed and burned because no one bought it. For some reason they didn't publish it anywhere where people could actually listen to it without spending money on it, like Spotify or YouTube. Instead, they decided to only put the album on iTunes, and trust me, when you're a small band and people don't know you, they're not gonna go and spend money on your album without having heard any of your music before. You've got to make some of your music available for free, even if it's just one or two songs, so that people can actually get an idea of what you sound like before they go and buy your album. If you make your music available for the audience and they like it, then they might buy your album. If you want to succeed in music, the first thing you need to do is to get the word out there and let the world know that you actually exist. There are thousands of new underground bands popping up everywhere, and you've got to make sure that your voice is heard. Making your music available is obviously necessary, but it's only the beginning. If you want people to actually notice you, you have to get out there and advertise your music, and thus begins the long journey that is promotion. When it comes to promoting, well, anything, it's a good idea to work out a communication strategy of how you intend to promote your music, and the first step is to identify your target audience, which means figuring out what kind of people will most likely enjoy your music. Knowing your target audience is an absolute necessity when it comes to deciding where to aim your communication and figuring out how you're actually going to appeal to the audience. It's always a good idea to do a market segmentation, since it just makes everything so much easier and it can save you a lot of time and money on advertisement. The point of segmentation is to divide people into segments based on various relevant factors like their age, gender, interests, preferences, financial income and geographical location. The reason why this is so important is that not everyone likes the same thing, and therefore you divide the market into segments in order to better identify what groups of people might prefer your music. This way you can focus on promoting your music to only a few segments that may be interested, instead of advertising to a lot of segments where only some of them are interested. The helpful trick is to identify your ideal fan. Try visualizing the ultimate stereotype of a fan of your band right down to the smallest details. Is it a boy or a girl? How old is the person? What clothes does he wear? What other bands does he like? And most importantly, how is his personality? If you play a style of music that many people enjoy, like pop or classic rock, you've got a lot of segments to work with. But if you play a more obscure niche genre, then you've got a lot fewer and smaller segments to work with. And knowing which of these segments to direct your communication to is really important. For example, if you play transgender, vegan, proto-gent, what the fuck did I write? Segmentation might become difficult. However, if you play emotional, kind of edgy but not really edgy teenage rock like the Blackwell Brides, you've got a very obvious and very defined segment to work with, namely young people, primarily girls, around age 13 to 20, who feel like the whole world is against them and who seek others like them. It might be a good idea to choose your target audience as kind of a reflection of your image as a band. And in the case with the Blackwell Brides, they've tailored their music, looks, lyrics and their overall message in order to appeal to this one very specific segment. And it worked. When you've figured out what segments to direct your marketing towards, you can begin to investigate their use of different media. What magazines do they read? Do they read any blogs or forums? And how active are they on various social media? Knowing these things is important when it comes to evaluating what communication channels are best suited to promote your music to this particular segment. The next step is to then figure out how to appeal to the target audience. How do you appear relevant to them, and how do you make them actually click the link to your song? Or how do you make them actually show up at your gig? And that's just one of the things that part 2 of this series will be about, so stay tuned for that. I've got a lot more music business related videos coming up in the near future, so if you found this one useful, leave a like and subscribe to stay updated.